Okay, we're live.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. What's your name?
Oh, I'm Kylie.
I'm Dee.
And this is episode 2 of our podcast, Exes to Allies.
And this is my version. In the beginning, Dee's version. I have to read a disclaimer, which is boring, but it's important. The following narrative is based on personal experiences, opinions, and perspectives. The stories shared are a reflection of my own journey and interpretation of past events. While I strive to remain transparent and divulge the truth, we all know that memory is subjective and perspectives may differ. To the best of my ability, any identifying characteristics have been altered or omitted to respect privacy. This podcast is not intended to defame or accuse, harm, nor misrepresent anyone. The purpose is to share experiences, foster understanding, and spark meaningful conversations. Any resemblance to real individuals, living or deceased, is purely coincidental unless explicitly stated. If you are mentioned or have concerns, I welcome respectful dialogue. By listening or watching live, you as the consumer are in acknowledgement that this content is personal storytelling and should not be taken as absolute fact. Okay, with that said, I guess it's time to start. It's a lot of me talking, which sucks. So, yeah, I need a drink for this. First off, this is not easy for me in any way, shape, or form. I'm not used to the ticky-tacky and being on live and whatnot. And I'm a Gen X, so for me, this is nerve-wracking. It's easier for you, for sure. Anyway.
It's okay.
Okay. So last time we were live, and the previous episode of our podcast here, we heard Kylie's side of the story, and she gave us a good breakdown of timeline. I am not as good as her when it comes to remembering dates and things, so I'll do the best that I can.
The other part of that is that everything involved in the last 10 years has been a lot of trauma, and trauma in and of itself causes some memory loss and some memory blockage and things like that. So she'll do her best to recall the events that are important to help solidify and build a timeline for you guys. But it may not be as detailed, and or there may be some things left out either on accident or on purpose on her behalf because of
there's just so much to recount. So, all right, so let's start from the beginning. I was with my best friend, and we were in Palm Springs for his birthday, and we were having a birthday party at one of his friends' houses, and the next door neighbors were invited, one of which was our ex. And, you know, when I met him, he was very charming and handsome, unbelievably handsome. Taller than me, I mean, just perfect for me pretty much in every way. But because he was so much younger than me, I was just like, you know, go away. Like, what are you talking about? You know, I would talk to him here and there and stuff, but he would have this big smile, like the biggest smile that I've ever seen in my entire life that would just light up the world, you know? And he listened intently, like everything I was saying was so important.
which is a narcissistic thing That's how they love bomb you. They listen intently to understand you, to be able to present that.
Yeah, for sure. But of course at the time I didn't know. Like I was 10 years younger and I was still pretty naive. Just because my life had been so good. I mean, everything in my life has been really pretty good. I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed. And so, you know, when you haven't experienced a lot of hardships, I mean, I've had hardships, don't get me wrong, but, you know, when you haven't had hardships in relationships, then it's easy for you to just be duped. I mean, there's no other word around it. I was duped. So I was pushing him away at first. I was like, you know, please, you're cute, but you're too young for me. Like, anyway.
And this is April of 2014.
Yes, it is. And then, you know, he just was sort of persistent and embarrassingly enough, you know, we hooked up, you know, that night. So Gen X feels uncomfortable, like millennial would be like, yeah, we hooked up. Anyway,
own it, girl.
I know.
Own
so
it.
we hooked up. It was incredible. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, we had a good time. And after that, we were partying. It was like, you know, just a fling kind of thing. And so we parted ways. I couldn't really stop thinking about him just because it was a great experience. Backstory leading up to this briefly. I hung out with the gays and the lesbians for, I want to say it was a good 11 years that I was hanging out with them.
Okay.
And I have always been feeling sort of bi. Like, that's my vibe, you know? And, well, until the recent...
Hey, me too.
Until the recent election and after I tell this story. So, yeah. Anyway, I didn't really get a whole lot of the masculine side of interaction other than gay men for many years. And then I moved to this neighborhood that was specifically straight people. And I did it on purpose because I wanted to, like, you know, explore that side of the world again. And so this is when I went on this vacation to go to Palm Springs. And so I was like already feeling sowing my oats, my wild oats, if you will. I was already, we knocked over one of the cameras. So I was already sowing my wild oats, if you will, but I just still I hadn't met anyone that I felt like was the one. So anyway, I had found out that he was 12 years my junior, and we were already Leos because he's 2 days away from my birthday, but 12 years apart. So it was like really trippy. Like
same age as me.
We're both Leos and we're both dragons in the Chinese zodiac. So to me, that's like super trippy. Other people are like,
which is
this girl talking about? But
no, it's kind of an interesting aspect though, because on that same note, we will probably cover that at some point later in the podcast. He and I were born the same year, so I'm also a dragon, and that goes into our dynamic as well.
Yes. It is really, it's wild. It's almost like I was thinking then, and now that you just said that, it reminded me I literally think that this all happened for a reason. I don't know why. Well, I do know, but so I would wake up. But yeah, so we had this like different sort of connection, and it felt like I had been working out and I looked so good. Right now
You still look good.
well, I appreciate that, but
She looks good, y'all.
I'm trauma fat, so anyway, I was looking pretty banging. And I was running every day and loving life, and so I met him, and I just was kind of over all of the crazy. Let's be honest, Pacific Beach is insane. And
Pacific Beach, San Diego.
In California, yeah.
If you know, you know.
And I was living in the alley, which is this alley behind Lahaina's. If you know, you know. And it was crazy. Like, we were partying like there was no tomorrow. So I had already partied a lot when I was in my 20s, early 20s, actually all my 20s, let's not lie. I partied a lot, a lot. So I didn't really need to party so much again, but I got into that groove just because where I lived. And I had been, let's not lie, I had been a little promiscuous, and so I was wanting to settle down with someone. Like, I wanted a relationship, and so he just seemed like the right, and we were chatting like on text and stuff, and he just seemed like
Meanwhile, I'm pregnant with our oldest child.
Hey, I was going to get to that.
Yes. But you didn't know quite yet, right?
Well, so no, I knew a little bit, but I was like, he told me. So what happened was, I was in Palm Springs, and the people who were in the house that owned the house that my best friend was staying at, we were staying at, he told my best friend he has a pregnant girlfriend. And so, like, then my best friend told me that, and I was like, what? And I mean, because like the way the guy was acting, I was like, that's wild. And so I like brushed him off, and I was like, you have a pregnant girlfriend. Like, what is your problem? And he was like, I'm just doing the right thing for the baby, and like, we're not together, and that sort of stuff. And we acted like
we were not normal. Physically together, because he was staying somewhere in Palm Springs because that's where he worked at the time. And because we had gotten evicted from the place that we were living together before, I was living with his family, who I had just met.
I had no idea.
In Simi Valley. So she didn't know that part, right?
Right, yeah.
So I was far away. So we were not physically together, although we were planning a family together.
Right. Yeah,
okay.
no.
So this is how he was able to pull this off at the beginning, right?
Yeah. So he was very convincing and was like, oh no, I never even loved her at all. Like, we're not in a relationship. We've never been in a relationship. Like, I just, got her pregnant, and I'm doing the right thing. And I was like thinking, gosh, that is a really good man who like would do the right thing by standing by this woman and helping her, through this pregnancy. I mean, it was
absolutely
that's
an
where I was
honorable gentleman. Absolutely,
that's where I was coming from.
That's what I would have thought too. And, absolutely, that's what I would have thought too. Honestly,
yeah. And so, I don't know. What happened? I think I did some digging or something, and then I was like suspicious that he was not telling the truth.
Social media.
So
social media.
Yeah, I cut off, like I deleted his number altogether, and I was like just moving on with my life. And he wouldn't leave my head. Like, I don't know. I just couldn't get him out of my mind. And so I sent him a dozen yellow roses at the place that I knew he worked at, because I didn't have his number anymore. So I sent him a dozen yellow roses. Just a nice note, nothing too crazy. And then he texts me, "I got your flowers." And then little did I know there was a lot of drama about those flowers. Like,
a lot of drama.
he told me that, like, if we go into all the drama, it's going to take forever, and I'm not going to get to the meat and potatoes. But yeah, he was like, I had to take the bus, and I took the flowers on the bus, and I was like, oh, that is so sweet. Like,
He told me that his boss threw them away. Who knows what happened to the flowers for Rizzle, but...
yeah, well, anyway, he told me that he took them, like, on the bus, and that they were at his house and everything, and I just thought that was so sweet. And yeah, duped.
He might have
So
taken
naive.
them.
So naive. And he, just so everyone knows, he looks really innocent. Like, super sweet and innocent looking guy. Like, everyone likes him kind of guy. So
big, beautiful, sparkling eyes, big,
and I'm not
charismatic-
stupid, just so we're
charismatic
clear.
smile.
Like, I have a master's degree in chemistry. I'm not an idiot. Like, I was always that person who was like, oh yeah, like I would beat his ass if he ever laid a finger on me. Like, I was a strong, independent woman. I thought that I had it all figured out. Well, I had never been with a narcissist before, so
It's wild.
he was like so charming. Like, I went to get him, and he like moved into my apartment just because I'm a Leo. We just do flights of fancy just because it seems like it's fun, and so
True that.
he moved in, and he was so sweet to me. Like, it was, I don't know if it was my birthday or if it was Valentine's Day or what it was. I can't remember, but oh no, it was my birthday. That's what it was. It was my birthday. He was like, gave me some money to go get my nails done. Like, I think a manicure and a pedicure. And then he like showed up at the nail salon with like balloons and roses and like a teddy bear or chocolate or something. It was really extravagant. And I thought, this is the sweetest thing. This is it. Like, this is it. Like, I knew it. I knew if I started working out and I was taking care of myself, like, I just knew that I'd meet the right person. So I was convinced that he was my love of my life.
What were your thoughts regarding his girlfriend who just had their baby at that time?
Well, no, because you didn't have the, You did have the baby. Oh, that's right, I forgot. So when the baby was going to be born, he was like, I don't know how I'm going to get there. Like, I need to get back to Palm Desert or something, Palm Springs.
To the desert, yeah.
And I let him take my car because I was like, he's doing the right thing by this chick. Like, again, it sounds, when you listen to it, you're like, wow, she's a complete idiot. I'm literally, I'm not an idiot. Like, I literally was just not aware that people do these kinds of things to each other. I hadn't been in any relationships or really even heard of relationships like that. So I was like, he's doing the right thing. He's going to go and be with her. Like, I thought, this is a stand-up man. I love him. He's my man. And so
meanwhile, he's also my man, and we have a newborn baby. And I'm living with his family.
I gave him my car so he could go and see the birth of his child.
And I'm living with his family. By the way, when she says she gave him the car to go see the birth of his child, when he left the hospital, Me and the baby left the hospital with his mom and his sister, and he left in a taxi to go take a bus and then a train home to San Diego.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Supposedly.
So that was another thing. It's like he's taking buses and trains to like come home to
He's got access to a car, but he needs a taxi to get a bus and a train home. Fancy that.
No, maybe I didn't let him have my car at that time. Maybe he said he was going to take the train. It was after that, when you were in Simi Valley. It was like Thanksgiving or something. I let him take my car to Simi Valley for Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving is the week that I found out about you.
Okay, so that makes complete sense. But so yeah, I know I gave him my car. I think I wanted to give him my car for the birth, but he pushed back about it.
Yeah, because there would be a lot of questions if he showed up driving a cute little car. A cute little car, a girl's car.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't believe in girls' car and boys' cars, but she had a girly ass, feminine ass
No,
car.
at the time I had a CC.
Oh.
Yeah, kidding. It could have been a girl's or a guy's
I was
car,
thinking about the Bug.
Yeah, no, I had that afterwards, but anyway, yeah, it still would have brought up questions, so that makes
questions,
sense.
right? Okay, go ahead. It's okay, I got it.
Okay, alright. So, anyway, this is turning into a very long story.
Fast forward to the part where you go to the East Coast.
Okay. So I left. We were in a great relationship. I thought that I was the only one, and there was lots and lots of intimate moments on a daily basis, many, okay? So, it was, yeah, I loved him, I'm not gonna lie, and, I left because I needed to get a new job. My company was laying off a bunch of people, so I got laid off, the 5th round of layoffs or whatever. And I needed to get another job, so I went to the East Coast and started a new company. And he said, I'm going to be there in like a month. And I was like, okay, cool. So my company was paying to move everything, so of course I packed everything in the truck and left very little because I thought I didn't want to burden him with having to bring a bunch of stuff like across country. Well, he did not come. He came to visit like a couple times, but he didn't actually come to stay. He kept bullshitting me about some job issue or just something. He would keep bullshitting me. And then I did not like the East Coast. I was too cold in Boston. It was 50 to 60 mile an hour sustained winds, a blizzard, and people are still driving 70 on the freeway. It's not a joke. Boston is crazy. And I had a job where I had to drive to like different people's work sites and do some chemistry stuff with them and then drive back home. So I was driving every day, and that place is nuts. I was like, I gotta get out of here. So I transferred back to the West Coast.
Now, at this time...
That was 2019, May.
So, at this time, the two of us, had experienced extreme triangulation.
Uh-huh.
He had worked overtime to pit us against each other, keep us from meeting each other, keep us from being in
keep us off
the same
social
space.
media, like saying that.
Well, I've never been off of social media, and that's always been.
I did.
That's always been a deal breaker for him.
Like to not make
maybe
him
if you
upset.
get off of social media, we'll have a chance to be happy together. Why? So you can continue to fucking manipulate me? Absolutely not.
Yeah, no, she's way keener on things than I am. I was just very
Also,
naive.
I'm just a stubborn fucking person in general.
Gemini,
like, I am a Gemini, Capricorn, Virgo. Hello, all the stubborn, like, crazy signs all combined. But because of the fact that I am so open, I am so transparent, I am so active on social media, he worked so hard on your end to make sure that you were not, to keep his story as straight as possible. He also involved his family on a lot of different levels. So at this time, 2019, okay, our second, him and I have had our second baby, December 2018, right? So when you decided to move back to the West Coast, a part of that was because you had found out about this baby, right?
No.
Well, you knew about him before you moved back, because I found out that you knew when I was still pregnant.
No, that happened, he was born literally only a couple months after I went to the East Coast. I had no idea about any of it.
The neighbors in San Diego had told me when I was still pregnant with him that you knew about the baby and you were mad. The neighbors that you were friends with, remember the couple?
No, because that was 2018.
At the end of 2018, yeah.
Oh, I came to visit, and I think he told me when I came to visit. That's right, because I had come to visit a couple times when I was over there, and we had our anniversary.
And remember, so their anniversary is in April, and remember, 2018 for me was one of the good years. We were doing really well. We were getting along. He was living with me. I was pregnant with our second.
You guys were in my beach house.
Yeah, we were living at the beach house. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So
then 2019,
I came to visit, and I think I found some of your stuff or whatever, and he was like, I don't know what that is. That's yours, right? And I was like, no. And anyway, the reason that I let a lot of these things sort of roll off my back, where most people would be like, fuck you, I'm out, bitch. I just was, I was 12 years older than him, so I was thinking maybe I need to be cooler, because I was hearing about the young people and how they have multiple partners in a relationship, and so I thought, maybe I'm just not cool enough. So I was trying to be cool about it. You know what I'm saying? I was like, this really fucking sucks and I hate you for it. And I punched him a few times, not punched him in the face, but just,
through your fit.
Yeah, exactly.
As you should when your boyfriend knocks up his fucking baby mama.
Right. And then I'll be honest, I felt like, I was getting on up there and I hadn't had a baby yet. And even though they told me that I'm perfectly fine and I should have been able to have a baby, I wasn't getting pregnant. So I was like, well, if I'm not going to get pregnant, maybe the universe, the reason that's happening is because she's having babies and I'm with him and we're in this relationship. And so I can be that help, because that would be nice to have kids that I don't really have to claim. You know what I'm saying? It's really one of those things where you think that that's what the universe is dealing you, and I know it sounds really stupid. I know, God. Looking back, I feel like a complete idiot, seriously. But I didn't recognize any of the red flags, and I was just trying to be chill.
And narcissists notoriously work very, very hard to mask and love bomb and manipulate. You know what I mean?
I know.
So it's one of those
definitely manipulating me the whole time, clearly, because I was told that I was loved and that he was spending every day with me. So I was like, he's with me every day. Then of course he loves me. He's fucking around and being a dumbass, but he's 12 years younger than me. Give him a break. That's what I was thinking. And I was just like, whatever, at least he's keeping it to one person and not going all over the place. Later on, we found out that wasn't true. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, there's more than two.
There's a third. There's a third woman.
No,
involved.
there's more than three. But
Oh, there's many more than 3,
Yeah.
but only 3 that have been long term.
Yeah,
yes,
for
yes.
sure. So anyway, skipping ahead another chunk of time, I found out about the 3rd baby, because he left his phone. He would never allow me to see his phone. That's another red flag. This, just in case, like, anybody's wondering about their boyfriend. If somebody doesn't allow you to see their phone, they're doing something wrong. Like,
absolutely.
or they're in the FBI.
If you have nothing to hide, there's no reason to like have that like extreme need for privacy. Yeah. In regards to an intimate romantic relationship, absolutely.
Yep. And so he left his phone one time where he didn't lock it, and I ran over to it and I saw the conversation with him and his mom about names for a baby. And I packed my shit in fucking 5 minutes, and because 3 strikes you're out. That's where I was at. Like, I'm done. So I packed my shit. I fucking left Vegas. And as I was leaving, he was there. And I was yelling out of the Uber, "You're a fucking cheater, you piece of shit." Like, just awful stuff that he deserved.
Y'all were there
honestly.
together on like some sort of like getaway type situation.
Right, yeah. Yeah, we had been there for like...
And that is when woman
like
number 3
weeks,
re-entered the picture. So she was in the picture very briefly in 2019. 2020, 2019, 2020.
I don't think she ever left, to be honest with you. I think she was around from 2019 onward.
So I was told at some point during 2020 and 2021 that they were not together for about a good...
He was honest with you. You guys had real conversations. Like, he and I just talked about work and, like, inventing shit.
Entrepreneurial type shit.
I loved those conversations. Like, I had a good time having
That's wonderful. So, but the thing about that, though, is she re-entered the picture because you found out about baby number 3, which I had been pressuring him. And I had even been putting pressure on his family and being like, at this point, don't you think you owe it to her to tell her? Like, I'm not going to be the one that breaks it to her because I don't even fucking know the girl. Like, I literally said that, and I think I said, I don't even know the bitch. But, like, not in, like, an offensive way, just like, I don't fucking know you. We had been in, like, copacetic situations twice at that point. And you had even wished me like a happy Mother's Day when I was pregnant, and I felt like straight up fucking dog shit because I was pregnant and I knew she didn't know, and I was like, bruh. So that was right before you found out, because you guys, I think, went to Vegas right after that or something. But when you left, he called her and was like, hey, come to Vegas and be with me, and she came and was with him. And then she never left. They now have a baby together, and he lives with her and ignores the fact that we have children, and likes to say that if I want child support, then I should ask her. Cute, right?
Well, yeah, we haven't even gotten to that part.
We're not there yet, but
yeah,
2021 or 2022, you find out about the baby.
Yeah. So anyway, like, he would do these things. First of all, he was always like, I hate that bitch. I hate her so much. I wish she would die. Like, you know, he was always triangulating us for sure.
Always.
And making me feel bad for him having to deal with her because she's such a nightmare, right? Later I found out that she's really not that bad of a person. Like, we're actually friends, you know? Like, so.
Imagine that!
Yeah, I know. And so anyway, I leave Vegas, and then he ends up coming back to my house in Washington. I was in Washington at this point, and
oh yeah,
I'll
Washington
be honest with you, the rest of this gets very cloudy. It gets very hazy. there was a lot of trauma, like a lot of psychological damage. So it
because
gets very...
he, at that point, he was like, he had 3 different women that he was triangulating against each other, hiding from each other. I was pregnant with our 3rd. She had just moved to Washington to be with him. I was trying to move me and our other 2 kids and this new baby to Washington to be with him. And then this new girl who he's with now, spoiler alert, he never moved to Washington. He moved to Arizona to be with her, but that's beside the point. I don't know what she was doing besides acting crazy. He told me she was acting like a psycho. We will honestly never know. We will honestly never know. Obviously, there was a lot of manipulation involved, but apparently she was acting crazy. I was trying to move while pregnant. She was setting up a new home for the 2 of them. And he
Not
was
just
on
for
a
the
full
2
blown...
of us. I literally bought a 3-bedroom, like 3-story townhome because I thought that, you know, we would all be in Washington because his job was in Washington, and that, you know, the kids would need some place to stay. And like, I knew that they hadn't had their own room, so I was trying to get like a big place so that they would have their own room. And anyway,
which is wonderful and generous, but also when you look at it from the just basic like perspective of what the facts are and what was happening at the time, like, that's super bogus, right? Because I'm looking for a house to move in with him and our kids. And also woman number 3 is somehow also involved, entangled, right? Entanglement.
so okay, back to what's going on is there's a lot of chaos back and forth from Vegas.
He was on a full-blown bender because, yep, he was going to Vegas, remember?
He
in episode
drinking,
1, you
again,
can refer to...
He actually started doing Adderall with girl number 3. And I, like, flushed some of it down the toilet once.
Allegedly.
What, allegedly flushed it down the toilet?
No, allegedly he was doing Adderall.
Oh, no, he was definitely, his behavior was completely different, and his eye was like, one of his eyes was like weird. Anyway, and then he started drinking after a while. I'm gonna be honest though. The thing is like, he, later on admitted to me that he thought I was cheating on him, and that he's a IT genius, so he hacked into fucking everything all the time, and basically found some emails that I was sending to a couple of dudes. Emails are text messages, both of them, right? To a couple guys. And I did that because he was cheating on me, and I knew he was cheating on me. Like, I was like, if you're going to disrespect me, then whatever. I'm just going to talk to these people who seemed interested in me and want to talk to me. Like,
can I ask you something?
Yeah.
What was the reason why you didn't want to just walk away at that point? Just cut your ties, cut your losses, and just...
Because of the fact that I had spent so much time with him and your kids, like, we were a family. And, you know, it just... I was so attached to the kids that I thought, and I didn't, at that point in time, I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to have kids. And so I was just so attached to the family. You know, when you get to that point where you're just so intertwined, everything in your life is so intertwined with someone else, you can't walk away. Like,
it's really hard.
It's just really hard.
Absolutely.
You know, it had been 8 years. Anyway, so getting to the crazy part of all of it. So yeah, okay. I was not an angel. Like, I did talk some shit. I sent pictures and probably some videos to these couple guys.
So during the during or after the Vegas situation that you and I touched base? It was like right
after the Vegas situation.
Right
yeah,
after.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, there was a time, like, between Vegas and Washington, my apartment in Washington, where things got really weird. He was flipping over tables and desks and chairs and unplugging every electronic thing. And I don't mean just unplugging it from the wall, also disconnecting it from all of the electronics and hiding my phone and my work computer and my work phone.
You know, the things that people do when they're on benders.
Yeah, so he was doing all of that, and then also like taking glasses and throwing them at me. Like one time he hit me and I can't even remember which finger it is. I think it's this one. But I have like a scar from a piece of glass that like went into my finger. He was throwing glass at me, so I was having to pick up tiny pieces of glass like all over the floor. And at this point, I was terrified. There was no leaving because I was scared. He one night was drinking brandy and he would leave the house, take my car, take my phone, take my work phone, take my work laptop.
That man on liquor is scary.
Take all of the things that I had to communicate with, so I couldn't communicate with anyone. And then he kept coming back periodically through the night. He would come, leave, and every time he would come really quiet so that I wouldn't hear him coming. And he would sneak up on me and like he scared me and I screamed. And I was like telling him to leave me alone.
I had a couple of experiences.
He ended up punching me in the face. Like he would punch me, and then he would get up and leave and drive away in my car.
So there's a TikTok that's on the account for Exes to Allies where he had commented, I think it's still on there, that I had locked him out of the beach house and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. It's because he was scary. He was scary like that. So I had to lock all the doors, lock all the windows, keep him out of our home and away from me and our kids because, yeah, he was like out of control.
Yeah. So he would come back and he would punch me a bunch and leave and punch me a bunch. And I'm like hiding in a corner in a room, like crying, bawling my eyes out with my dog, just both of us scared because like I'm also picking up little pieces of glass. I probably spent 3 whole days picking up glass. He broke 12 of my glasses.
So disclaimer about all of this part, there was a lot of physical, emotional, mental abuse, literally just abuse all around in every aspect. Financial abuse, he was using you, he was convincing you to pay for things and send him money for things and all this, right? And there was a brief police involvement, but you kind of like...
Well, he was always like, protect daddy, protect daddy, protect daddy. And so I'm like on the floor with him and the lights are all out in the apartment, like just, you know, scared out of my mind.
So you did have the opportunity to press charges. You opted out of it.
I couldn't have. There's no way. He wouldn't have let me get downstairs. It was a 3-story townhouse. I would have had to go all the way down to the bottom floor.
Right, correct. Because at this point, the abuse had escalated to a point where there's no way out.
I was.
You're backed into a corner. There's no way out.
I didn't know who I was. I was literally a puddle on the bathroom floor, like just contemplating death, like the whole nine. Just a lot of shit going on in my mind, and he, that one night, punched me probably a good 27 times. My eye swole up so big and it was black and I had blood spots on my eyeball. Like, it was really bad. And then he somehow, like, treated me like gold and was like, I'm so sorry. I'm never drinking again. Like, just this whole vicious cycle of I'm never drinking again kind of stuff. And so he treated me like a queen.
Meanwhile, me and woman number 3 are still actively both in the picture.
Yeah, in case you forgot.
In case you forgot.
So anyway, we did some little vacations and went some places. We kept going to Vegas a lot. We spent probably 2 months in Vegas, and while we were in Vegas, he had her there, the kids, and woman number 3 there, all at the same time, and he kept running around to all of us saying, you know, I was going to propose. I got a penthouse.
You ruined it. You were supposed to show me why you were worthy, why it was supposed to be you, blah, blah, blah.
It was just a lot of psychological damage.
Chaos, a lot of emotional
yes.
and psychological and
yes.
physical abuse
yes.
happening.
Yes.
A lot of substance abuse happening, a lot of manipulation and lying and chaos. Remember, if you tapped in for episode 1, that's when I talked about he took the car that was rented in my name. We had a brand new baby. The baby was very little. Our youngest was very little at the time, not even a month old. Me and the kids, I say we were trapped there for 18 days because the original agreement and my original impression of what was supposed to happen is he and me and the kids were supposed to have a family vacation for 6 to 7 days. That was what the original plan was, and it turned into 18 days of a fucking living nightmare for me, and apparently 2 months of a living nightmare for you. I don't even want to know if woman number 3 ever tapped in for her perspective. I guarantee you we could make a movie out of just our Las Vegas experience alone.
Yeah, the Las Vegas
fucking
experience. It was really rough. Literally, I have never been through something like that in my entire life. I was locked out of hotel rooms without without something warm, like a jacket or whatever, and without a key to the room. He was like, I'll give you a key to the room when you earn it. So at this point, he had already lowered my self-esteem down to the bottom level that it could possibly be at.
That you haven't even earned the right to a key to your own hotel room that you're staying in.
And I gave him a key
That's
right away.
narcissism.
I gave him a key right away whenever I rented or got a room for us. Anyway, so he would lock me out of hotel rooms. I would be on the corner in Vegas, freezing. Just with no money, no phone, nothing that I could possibly do, freezing on the corner in Vegas. And then I would go into the hotel and sit in their little couches by the elevators and just wait for hours.
To give people a timeline, the original trip to Vegas was made in October. That's when I was there for 18 days, in October. Okay?
We didn't leave until
Vegas is the desert. The desert is cold in the winter time. Okay, this is October, November, December, January. This is fall through winter.
It's cold at night.
Cold AF. 2022 going into 2023.
Yeah. And I would wait for hours for him at the elevators, and sometimes he would come and he would look at me and he would just keep walking. And now mind you, all of this was to punish me for the cheating that I did, okay? I never had intercourse or kissed or hugged either one of these 2 guys.
Physical intimacy with any men at all during the period.
Right.
During the how many years? From April 2014 until January of 2023, correct?
Right, correct. He was my world. I loved him more than anything.
It's a long time.
Even after he punched me in the face, I was just
and had babies with me.
Exactly. I was I knew what his past was. He had some trauma from his past. Just so everyone understands, I felt sorry for him. He grew up with an alcoholic family. His dad died when he was 8. I literally felt really bad for him and thought, I gave him some more leniency, obviously to get into my heart and to keep me in his life like that. But anyway, so back to the Vegas thing. So it was crazy. There was a lot more than what I've said, but I would have to go on forever for you to know everything I went through.
It would be
when
a
I was
6
there.
to 8 hour podcast.
Yeah. And so then we went down to San Diego. You had left Vegas and you were back in San Diego. So we went to San Diego, and he wanted me to go to San Diego and was like teasing me with you can see the kids. And I hadn't seen the kids in so long, so I was really wanting to see the kids.
Have you met the baby yet, the youngest?
Yeah, he brought the baby over to
in
one
Vegas.
of the hotel rooms that we were in, at the Venetian.
Even though I had specifically made that a boundary for me, she and the woman number 3 were not to be in direct contact with our youngest at all.
Yeah. And then, so we went to San Diego, so I was excited about getting to see the kids because I hadn't seen them in so long. And, I would cry and, look at their pictures and stuff because, I felt like I was their stepmom. It was a very
And I
close
felt like,
relationship.
fuck that bitch, she left, finally, she needs to stay gone.
Well, and I felt like, fuck that bitch, too, because no, he kept telling me all this awful stuff about you, and I was just like, what? She is making life really difficult.
And keep in mind, the triangulation was happening not only at this time, not only between us, but also including woman number 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is currently, he's still attempting to do today. I'm sure it's working on his end with her, but we are
that's
much
another
wiser.
thing. There was a episode where I didn't realize, but she was there, and I was driving a Tesla at the time. I know. At the time, it was a fun car to drive. Now it's not. But anyway, so I was driving it, and then he throws his backpack in the car, and then all of a sudden she runs in front of my car. And her boob is flopped out. She didn't even realize that her boob was hanging out. And I was just like, what is this dumb bitch doing? Ran. At one point, I pulled over and I got out of the car because I was like, I can't, this is too much. And then I had his pills and I was like, like this. And that was a bad idea. So he ran at me like a football player and knocked me backwards on the concrete. And his pills went out and I threw them out in the street, and he went out in the street and got them. Then he got in my car and drove away with my luggage in the car and my dog in the car. And so then I had to walk like a battered woman back to the hotel.
You are a much nicer person than
I had to walk back to the hotel crying my eyes out, and the security guard was like, yeah, that guy's an asshole. I was like, thank goodness somebody saw. So I had to sit in the security office at the hotel for a while, hours, while I'm waiting on him to answer the phone. I kept calling and calling and calling.
So where was he?
I'm sure he was with
woman number 3.
Yeah. And so then he finally told me where he left my car. He had flown out of Vegas and left my car with my dog inside the car in some ghetto area in Vegas. And so, I had to take an Uber there, and when I went there, the back door was ajar, and thank goodness my dog was still in the car. He left my dog in the car with the windows down, my luggage in there, my work computer, I think, was in there.
Yeah, you told me your work computer
my
was
cell
in there.
phone, my wallet,
everything that was important to you.
And he just left it there. Thank goodness, when I got back to it, everything was still there. But anyway, the last thing I want to say is that when we were in San Diego, back to San Diego, we were at a hotel.
In January, right?
Yeah, this was in January and February. We
January
were there
and February of 2023. So this is right before my adventures in Legoland with him.
Okay, so he left his phone at the pool, And so I thought that he had done it on accident. So when someone called my number and said, hey, I think I have your phone. And I was like, oh, really? What does it look like? And I was like, oh, that's my boyfriend's phone. So I ran over there really quick to get the phone. And then I came back to the hotel room. And then because I had locked him out earlier because he was acting crazy trying to beat the door down, I had come back with his phone. This was all a ploy. Like, he purposefully said, call my number on his phone and purposely left it at the pool knowing that somebody was going to call me and that I was going to go get it and that I would then come back to the apartment. Well, I mean, the hotel room. And I came in the hotel room and I didn't put the latch on. And so he, like, very quietly, I heard click, click. And he opened the door and I was like, Daddy, I was like, I have your phone. And he goes, you trying to steal my phone, bitch? And he runs at me like really full force, knocks me completely backwards on the ground. And then he proceeds to shove his fingers down my throat and plug my nose at the same time.
Allegedly.
What do you mean allegedly? What do you mean allegedly?
For storytelling purposes.
Okay, sure. This was what really happened to me, and I don't care if anyone knows because it happened to me and I almost died. And so, thank goodness, like, they called, the next door neighbor called because they heard the noise, and security was gonna come. And I think that he suspected it because he's really paranoid during that state. And so he left. Like, I was choking and then he like got up and left. And then I was coughing up blood.
I'm a few blocks away with all of our children.
Yeah, and I'm coughing up blood and the security guard comes and they move me to a different hotel room because I was terrified. I never anticipated him ever doing anything where he almost killed me. Like, it was really incredibly scary.
And this is after he punched you in the face multiple times.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Anyway. So that's basically my story, and you know.
Wait.
So more?
During this time, there's a lot of chaos and confusion happening, right? Her and I have very briefly touched base via text message and phone calls, right? In January, you left. After this happened,
I left February, the morning of February 6th because he choked me on February 5th.
Okay, and he and I spent a very lovely Valentine's Day together just a few days later. Okay, you left beginning of February. You and I were in contact at that time. I was also in contact with woman number 3 who was trying to figure out what was going on, what the truth was, what was happening, where he was, because he was spending the majority of his time with her.
I threw her Ferrero Rocher in the trash can and like took a picture of it and was like, yeah, this is not your boyfriend.
That's way
like,
before.
I know that was way before, but still.
Okay, so when you left, you moved across the country to get away from him, to feel safe.
Yes, I was scared.
Yeah. Correct. I was still in the beach house at the time, and he was spending the majority of his time with her in Arizona. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, between the time that she left and the time I left San Diego in June, when everything went down, when they got custody of the kids, very briefly, legally kidnapped my children, if you will. And I will.
Allegedly. I'm just kidding.
Allegedly. Between this time, you and I kind of start to build a little bit of rapport via phone call, text message.
Because she's the only person that understood what I went through. And so talking to her was very cathartic. It really was therapeutic to the nth level.
Ditto.
And, you know, like we were able to tell our stories and get everything sort of aligned in our mind. Like, oh, wow.
Figure out what the real truth was versus what his lies were versus what we were under the impression of, etc., etc. So we were kind of slowly building rapport at this time. Now, I left the beach house in June. The beginning of June 2nd, is my birthday. And I really want to bring light to this because it really kind of highlights where the beginning of our friendship truly began. Was I was venting to you because at this time, we had already been served our eviction notice at the beach house. There was not any food. You had already helped us. I
was helping you as
a
much as I
handful
could.
of times with groceries and basic needs and things like that, right? Now, all of the bills were in his name, so there's nothing we could do about that, but you were helping me to provide the basics for the kids and myself. And my birthday, June 2nd, you sent me not only money to go enjoy myself, but also you sent me crumble cookies from afar, from the East Coast. She fucking had crumble cookies delivered to me for my birthday. That was the first time I ever had crumble cookies. And that to me was like an epiphany moment of this woman has never intended me any ill will. Regardless of her actions or reactions or the discussions that we've had before this point, she has not meant me any ill will. That was an epiphany moment for me that we had been experiencing legitimate triangulation because you were so sweet and loving and generous and just like you deserve to be celebrated. Like you deserve to feel special on your birthday and get a special treat.
Yeah, because I figured you probably hadn't gotten anything.
And there was
hardly at all for your birthday.
There was a lot happening.
And you had the kids, and I just felt like you deserved something.
So the other thing is, last minute, when woman number 3 took the kids for my birthday, and I went out. Remember? And you sent me a little bit of extra money to be able to enjoy myself out and about in San Diego, because I had lived there off and on for over half a decade, and I had never been able to really experience Pacific Beach or like the party culture or like the fun part of it, right?
Yeah, right.
So that just to me was like an epiphany moment. And that was where, although we had been building rapport digitally before then, that was where I really started to second guess the triangulation and really be like, you know what? I don't think anything he ever said about Christine was right. I really need to reevaluate a lot of things. I need to reflect. D will edit it.
Okay.
My apologies. Sorry.
It's all good.
But at the same time, we really at that point is when we started to build the relationship that brought us here, where we are now. You sent me a birthday.
You want me to do it?
It's okay, I got it. Okay. You sent me a birthday gift. You sent me the ability to provide for the kids when we really needed to. You circumvented his abuse in a lot of ways, and that continued to build rapport for us. It continued to build trust on my behalf. In regards to what would ultimately become, I believe so. In regards to what would ultimately become our agreement, our pact, our current situation.
Yeah,
our current
you were
circumstance.
helping me so much over the phone because I was like alone and I had to move to the East Coast and like I didn't want to be here in this red state. I'm gonna flat out say it. Like I just did not want to be here. I wanted to be in California again. You know, all my friends are in California, so she was a lifesaver for me. anyway,
And
I
vice
think we should
versa.
cut it off here right now.
We can if we want to. I was just looking to see what people are saying and who's engaged.
Oh, okay. Hi.
But that is part 2 of the history of how we got here to.
I'm glad I didn't cry.
I'm glad you
I
didn't.
was
I'm so
gonna
proud
cry.
of you. I'm so proud of you. It's a big thing to recall that type of trauma and abuse. You know what I mean? And to put it out there for a public platform. And
to say that I'm not perfect as well.
Absolutely. We all played our equal parts in the chaos, of course. But at the end of the day, you and I are two very
different people,
but intelligent, independent women who are not,
easily duped. Usually,
it's not easy to dupe either one of us. That's the key part about our story is narcissism in general can be so tricky because narcissists are so good at what they do.
Yeah.
But our story particularly is the reason why we named our podcast Exes to Allies is because we went from being his exes to each other's allies. We worked together, we lived together, we raised the kids together. He's
We're
not
going
even
to
involved.
talk about all of that and like all the clashes and all the good stuff and
all the nitty gritty, all the great stuff, everything in between. We're really going to get to the meat and potatoes, and you guys now kind of understand the history of how we came to this point.
How nearly impossible it is that we're standing here right now in a multitude of ways.
Literally. So episode 3, we will kind of do a little bit of a recap and we'll go over what we're going to be talking about in future episodes. And we look forward to being here live with you every single week, 9 p.m. on Saturday nights to tell our story until we're done.
Yep.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.